So yoga as detox is a really interesting idea because it's not really a term that you'll find in any scientific or medical textbook or medical paper. So it's more of a cultural concept. It kind of describes the feeling we get when we do a yoga practice. And it's that feeling of moving from a state of imbalance to balance. If you go on a yoga retreat, you get a really extreme example of that, where you may pop yourself out of a stressful job and then plonk yourself in a retreat and suddenly you're eating really good food, doing a couple of yoga practices a day, being very relaxed, and you feel very different. And people like to describe that as detox, and I don't have any problem with that at all. But as long as we're just clear, it's more of a cultural idea, more of a feeling, more of a sensation of cleansing and of bringing the body back into the balance, rather than there's no sort of medical evidence that the body is kind of holding toxins and waiting for some kind of trigger like yoga to release them. The body is constantly processing toxins that do come in via, alcohol, smoking, or anything else, and dealing with them. Hopefully we can try and cut that out or reduce that greatly, and follow a healthy lifestyle, and then use the yoga to really have that feeling of inner cleansing and inner balance. So we're going to use our long exhale, and we're going to do quite a lot of twists tonight. So twists have this traditional idea in yoga that they are cleansing to the digestive system on that physical level. But because they compress the soft tissues around the abdomen, they have an effect on the energy body as well. And we'll think about that a little bit later. So we'll start now with our breathing practice for this week. So if you'd like to just sit comfortably, have the feet really well connected to the ground, raise the ground or the yoga block like I'm doing if you need to. And then just take a moment to close your eyes. And if you don't want to close your eyes, that's fine. Just have a soft gaze forward and downcast. And take a moment to notice exactly how you're feeling. And in terms of that concept of detox, how much do you really feel you need that tonight? How much is your body out of balance? Is it maybe your diet out of balance, relationships, any factor that is just knocking you off your center? And knowing that yoga is a really strong foundation, a strong anchor to bring us back and to give us that feeling that we can let go of these things that are disturbing our balance. And then just go into your sensations in your physical body a little bit deeper, to really imagine the spine snaking up from the hips, curving inward slightly through the lower back, curving outward slightly through the mid back, curving back in a little through the back of the neck. And then these three curves stacking and integrating together to create this perfectly straight column when looked at from the front or the back, unless you've got something going on there with the spine. And as you do that, as you imagine that straightness, lifting the crown of the head, slightly tucking the chin in, and feeling an effortless lengthening of the spine as you breathe in and lift up. And as you exhale, just holding on to that length as you exhale back down into the ground, through the hips, through the soles of the feet. So you feel both really connected and yet light and long through the central axis of the body. And as you lengthen up through the center, it means you can let go of everything in the outer body. So the shoulders are part of the outer body. Let them soften. They might just need guiding back a little bit, and then back and down. Shoulder blades just sitting against the back ribs and feeling as if they're heavy and sliding down the back slightly. Breathing in up through the spine, breathing out back down to the ground, but also breathing out and down through the outer body, releasing further the outer body, the shoulders, the arms, the hands. And then just to make this practice a little bit more powerful and to bring us into our breathing practice, which we'll do throughout the whole of the class, beginning to extend the length of your exhale. Feel as if there's an active drawing up of that energy on the in-breath up through the midline, and then you've got as much time as you need to exhale back down to the ground, using the out breath as a detox breath, as a release, almost washing through tense muscles, tight joints, washing through every cell of the body and giving you that sense of lightness and release. On the inhale, we're finding our midline, we're finding that energetic line of the spine as well as the physical spine. And we're using the long exhale to exaggerate the sense of letting go. Put no strain on the breath, just find that comfortable rhythm where you're aware that you are releasing your exhale into as much space as you can, but without feeling that you are short of breath. And then if you've been working with the eyes closed, blinking the eyes open, we're going to bring the palms together in front of the heart. Just begin, as we often do, with a simple breath and movement exercise. Inhaling, opening the palms, but really feeling like we're opening the chest, lifting the sternum, releasing the shoulders. And exhale, it's all softness and release on the long exhale as the palms touch. Inhale. Exhale. We're going to detox with our practice. Then we need to replace something with something else. So the in-breath is the vehicle for bringing in that something else. And it's really up to you how you imagine that. Simply as fresh breath, fresh oxygen, or something more subtle, energy, light. Often a gold or a silver color is imagined for the in-breath. And if you're used to working with Ujjayi breath, feel free to use your Ujjayi breath on the exhale, and if you want, on the inhale as well. And next time the palms come together, release the arms down. And this time we'll do another familiar practice, inhaling, floating the arms up. And we're just going to take them to a point, a height where the shoulders haven't come up, they've stayed down. And we're feeling almost as if we're dropping the shoulders lower and lower as the arms go up. And when you're ready to do your long exhale, turn the palms and float the arms down on that cushion of exhale. The turning of the palms is going to reflect the pause, the momentary pause between the inhale and exhale and the out breath and in breath. We're going to do a couple more of these at your own time, really feeling as if your shoulders are releasing every scrap of tension on the out breath. They're becoming softer and softer and lighter and lighter. So that by the time you get to your fifth or sixth repetition, it's almost as if these arms are hollow balloons. That in-breath is filling the arms with energy, is floating them up. That out-breath acts like a cushion of release, and the arms gently float down. One more. And at the end of this exhale, we're going to give the arms a little shake. Really let them feel jelly-like. As you shake the top of the arms, that movement should carry on all the way down through the forearms to the fingers with no tension interrupting this shake. And then let the arms hang and bring the shoulders forwards and up, and long exhale, take the shoulders back and down. So despite our best efforts and maybe regular yoga practice, there's no avoiding tension in the shoulders. It's just simply better to accept that that is the story of the shoulders. We have this incredible ability to bring softness and range of movement into the shoulders. And then at the same time, when your next Amazon delivery arrives at the door and it's rather heavy, you have to use them as weight bearing and the tension comes back in. But once you are aware of it and you can mindfully deal with it and release it, that's the secret to a kind of detox and release for the shoulders. And then give the arms a little shake, turn the palms out, bring the fingertips to the tops of the shoulders, and we'll just go for our maximum range of movement now. So each circle becoming a tiny bit wider than the last. Inhaling for half a circle, long exhale for the other half of the circle. And really marvel at the range of movement that you can achieve when you really soften, really release the shoulders and let them do what they're meant to do, which is these incredibly elegant movements of this part, the shoulder girdle, this part, the joint between the arm and the outer part of your shoulder. And then releasing the arms, give them another little shrug. And just to finish the shoulder work, we'll take both arms out and we'll rotate the right arm clockwise, so the palm's facing up. And we'll rotate the left arm clockwise. And if you've got a lot of movement there, the palm may also be facing up. And then we're just going to bend the elbow slightly as we turn and then straighten into the stretch. And if you're a bit of a fan of Indian dancing, this might be reminiscent of some of the movements that you could see in southern India with some Kathak dancing, but don't worry, we're not going to be doing that tonight. So lots and lots of rotation into the shoulder, last one. And then release, give the arms a shake, give the shoulders a shrug. And then for our last one, we're just going to do a little bit of hip releasing. We'll do this on the mat as well, but I wanted to do some in the chair tonight, just to show you how effective it can be. So if you hold the shin just below the knee, doesn't matter which leg you start, I'm starting with the right, and we're using the arm to move and circle the leg. You really don't want a creaky chair like mine if you're demonstrating this. And then coming around in the other direction. And then we're going to bring the knee in close to the chair. If you got a bit of space here on the chair, you can place the heel on the side there. And then we're going to place the left hand under the sole of the foot, and you're going to keep this right hand wrapped around the knee because the knee is vulnerable here. If you have any knee problems, then you're not going to let this knee go out very far, and you're certainly not going to tolerate any discomfort here. But some of you will be able to comfortably release the leg out to the side here. And once we're here, we're just going to focus on this right foot. So first of all, with the right hand, I'm going to take that around the toes and pull them back so that I'm stretching out the sole of the foot. And then I'm going to use the other hand to curl the toes round the other way. And we'll just do that a couple of times, just swapping, breathing in, pulling the toes back, stretching the sole of the foot, stretching the plantar fascia there, and then using the other hand to scrunch the toes under. and then pulling the toes back once more. And then this one I'm going to make optional, because if you really don't like touching your feet, it can be not that pleasant. We're going to see if you can place a finger between each toe. So just getting that idea of spacing the toes out and stretching the sides of the toes. Doesn't matter if you don't get them all the way in. If it's just fingertips, or if you've got the whole finger in, that's fine. And once you're there, you're going to move the toes with the fingers in. So this will just help to activate the toes or keep them active, because they tend to get a lot of work in the summer in sandals and flip-flops and what have you. And then we tend to hibernate our toes in boots all winter. So we just try and keep them moving. Okay, that's great. And then releasing the foot. So releasing the foot actually helps to release the whole of the leg right up to the hip. And we'll just do our last little bit with the hip. So breathing in, let the knee come up, and breathing out, let the knee release down. So the hand is there. It's not going to push the knee down. It's just going to guide it. It's going to help the knee come up, and then it's going to guide the knee down. And you'll notice that if your hips are quite open, the sole of this right foot is beginning to point up towards the ceiling. So if we were working towards really fully open hips and wanted to do lotus pose, this would be a kind of stepping stone on the way there. But we're not doing that. That's a highly advanced and slightly risky pose. So keep an eye on this right knee, no knee discomfort allowed. And just a couple more now, and hopefully just feeling that this right hip is beginning to release. Remember, it's inhale, knee coming up, and exhale, knee releasing down. Great. And then this time the knee's going to come up, the foot's going to come forward, point the toes, pull the toes back, point the toes, and then take that foot down, and just give the feet a little bounce up and down, lift the toes and the heels. Notice the difference in sensation between this right leg and the left leg. So we're coming up with the left now, doing exactly the same thing. You can bring the heel onto the chair, then you're going to guide the knee out, and if you can only get to here, please be happy there. Absolutely crucial that there's no discomfort or pain in the knee. If it's comfortable for you to place the foot on the opposite thigh, feel free to do that. So we just did a couple of gentle movements just to ease ourselves into this feeling of the hip opening. And you can see if you just place your hand on the outside of the thigh, right in the middle, you can see how far the hip has turned from this being neutral. It's gone right over here. So you've got a big amount of opening going on in this left hip, and that's why we're doing this practice. Okay, so focusing on the left foot, left hand is going to pull the toes back, stretch the sole of the foot, and as you exhale, right hand is going to pull the toes under, pulling the toes back, curling the toes under. Once more, pulling back, toes under, and then we're going to do our interlacing with the fingers of the right hand in between the toes of the left foot. If you're working the opposite leg, just opposite hand, obviously. And once the fingers are there, moving the toes, and then just enjoying that stretch to the toes. Very good. And then release the hands, place the left hand back on the knee, breathing in and breathing out, just allowing a little more hip opening to come from this movement now. Beginning to notice where the sole of the foot is pointing, noticing how much further the thigh is rotating outwards in that hip socket. And then next time you inhale, bring the foot back, lift the toes, point the toes, lower the foot down, place both hands on the thigh, and as you exhale, coming forward with a really long spine, lengthening the front of the body, and then laying the ribs on the thigh if you can. And last of all, tucking the chin in, just letting the crown of the head hang forwards, use the weight of the head to stretch out the back of the neck, and use the forward movement of the body to feel as if you're giving your lower back a nice stretch and increasing the space that you have there. So we'll just take a couple more breaths here to allow this movement to have its effect. And then breathing in, pushing into the hands to come up, give the shoulders a shrug. And now we're going to come down to the mat. And our first practice tonight is going to be the cat. So if you normally do the cat stretch with the hands on the floor, that's absolutely fine. Remember, you've got a chair here, so if you need to decrease the weight through the wrists or the shoulders, just use the chair. And if you are using the hands on the mat, just remembering to keep the hands forward of the shoulders so you've got plenty of space and you're not over weight bearing through the wrists. So we're sticking with the same breath, inhaling, opening the chest, and long exhale, arching up. Just carry on doing that for a few more breaths at your own pace. See if you can really feel at the end of that lengthened exhale, as you arch the back, that you are creating a little bit of space between each of the thoracic vertebrae. And you might get quite a satisfying little sense of release there, as if you are on this path of detoxing, of releasing things that are stuck, which can be, as we've said, at this physical level and mental level, emotional level, physiological level. And then after the next cat stretch, if you are comfortable sitting back on the heels, then please do. And if your toes can take it, you can tuck the toes under. Sitting back here, we've done this a number of times before, there's quite a lot of weight through the toes. And if you rock the hips from side to side, it's like a bit like the stretch we did with our hands, but much more intense. So if it's too intense for you, just take the hands forwards and move the hips from side to side here. So we're going to come into a little bit of back strengthening now. And if you have a yoga block, that's quite a good prop to rest the forehead on. So you've got a bit of space this side of the yoga block for your face to be away from the mat to breathe. So just have it in position, and we'll use it also as an alignment aid. So I've got the palms either side of the block at the moment, and I've got the feet just a little bit wider than hip width apart. Toes are pointing away, but any cramp in the foot, just tuck the toes under. So have a little experiment here. If we rock the pelvis from side to side, we can connect the front of the pelvis, that pubic bone is going down towards the earth. And then from there, we're going to feel that we're lengthening as we inhale, lengthening up to the throat. And as we exhale and do our long exhale, we're just trying to soften this thoracic spine and release it between the shoulder blades. So let's do a few breaths here. This is a version of the Sphinx. If you want to be a little bit higher, you can bring the elbows right under the shoulders. If you want to go a little bit lower, just take the elbows a little further away. The front of the pelvis must remain on the mat. Inhale, lengthening from the front of the hips to the throat. Exhale, softening the spine. Keeping the back of the neck neutral, almost all of you will just be looking forward and down. Don't lift the head to look forwards and squish the back of the neck. So this is a back bend that you could hold for quite considerable time. It would be helpful. It doesn't feel like it's particularly strong for some of you, but it does have a very beneficial effect. So maybe try that in your home practice. We're not going to stay here for ages. We're going to move on now and do the next one. I'm not going to say you'll need to counter pose now, but some of you may. So anytime you feel like the back needs a release, you're going to come into this position. And you will certainly need it after the next one. Next one's going to be a little bit stronger. So this time we will place the forehead on the block, and we'll take the hands a little further away from the shoulders, away from the body, and a little bit higher than the shoulders. As you breathe in, press the pelvis down into the mat and use your back muscles to lift the chest away from the floor. And then do a long exhale and soften the forehead back to the block. Inhale, coming up. Very, very light pressure through the hands. Try not to use the arms to push yourself up. Feel as if the strength of your back is lifting you up, and then those same muscles are lowering you down with control. Around about 5 of those would be great. Again, in your own practice, you could do more, because this is a fantastic way to build the strength in your back that you really need for a strong, healthy back and good posture. So in the next raise and lower, in the next 1 or 2, you'll probably get to as many as you want to do, and then everybody can come into the counter pose. Pose of the child. And then our next strengthener is for the glutes. So we will come back to lying on our front, come back to forehead on the block. Just keep the hands now holding the sides of the block. Again, rocking the pelvis from side to side and then pressing it down towards the mat. And just look at that. As soon as you start to press the pelvis, the legs almost want to lift by magic. We're going to keep one leg down, going to keep this left leg down and keep the head down on the block. And just breathe in and raise the right leg. There's no rotation in the leg, and I'm not coming so high that the pelvis lifts off the mat. Just lift it up and long exhale. Take the whole exhale to slowly lower it down, because you're still strengthening on the exhale. Breathing in, lifting the other leg, breathing out, lowering it down, breathing in, breathing out. Just carry on with that. Probably for up to 8 or even 10 breaths, so five on each leg. But if you need to stop, then do. If it feels like hard work, or if you're feeling a pulling in the lower back, that would tend to indicate a shortening in your hip flexors, because as you lift that leg, those muscles are having to stretch. And the origin of the main hip flexor, iliopsoas, the psoas muscle in this case, is right there on the lower back. So it's quite a safe place to stretch that muscle, because you've got the support of the ground underneath the abdomen, and you've got the pelvis stabilizing everything. But it could pull a little bit, so just be aware of that. And this is something that you can work on, raising and lowering the legs, both to strengthen the glutes, but also to begin to lengthen these hip flexors, which we need the space there for good posture. And also, if we want to do back bends, they can be a real limiting factor if they're short. So next time the left leg goes down, let's call that enough and push back into the counter pose once more. Just notice how you're feeling in your body. And when you sit up from the counter pose back into kneeling, just noticing whether there's been any shift. So this creation, this working on the strength in the back, sometimes gives you this immediate feel of a little bit more space in the front of the body. The more we contract the back of the body, the more the front of the body has to open. And it's really opening back into a neutral, kind of natural space that should be there. Most of us are experiencing this, and we don't want to go too far back, but we want to be in this released, open sense of open heart, open chest, free breathing. We'll grab hold of a blanket and place it under the left knee, and we'll step the right foot forward to come into our lunge. And this is the pose that you can do without taking any weight into the knee, and actually get a slightly stronger effect of the practice if you want to use your chair. So it's up to you really which one you choose. In the lunge, we're just going to keep this knee right over the ankle. So if you want to go deeper, you have to take the foot forward. But, you know, just keep creeping the toes of the right foot forward until you feel the stretch through the front of that left thigh. There's that hip flexor. We were just working on it in the last practice, and now we're not strengthening it so much as giving it a sustained stretch and a slightly deeper stretch. Use your long exhale here to really release into what can feel like quite a challenging sensation, because this is the muscle that does get short through a lot of chair sitting. So 2 more breaths here. And then just straightening the leg, bringing the knee back. Just take a moment in pose of the child. Just closing down the front of the body, having given it such a strong opening, just reassuring it by softening and releasing both of those hip flexor muscles. And then as you sit up, ready to do the other side, just maybe being aware of the sensation in that left leg, which has been stretched out, and the right, which is going to get it stretched now. So again, from the mat, or using the chair, finding the lunge, finding the stretch, and then being with that stretch, with your breath, using your long exhale to release. We do have to sit around a lot if the hip flexors have got tight. It's going to affect lots of things in the structure of our body and in our posture. So the kind of detox here, the bringing back to balance, really is just talking to this muscle, having an intelligent conversation with it, and gently coaxing back the length that was once there, that's just been taken away from you through a lifestyle habit that isn't necessarily natural or desirable, sometimes unavoidable, which is why we need our yoga practice. And then releasing from the lunge on that side and taking your counter pose once more. And from here, we're going to come onto our back. We won't need the belt straight away, but just have your belt handy, because the first thing we're going to do is just find this semi-supine position with the knees bent, feet hip width apart or a tiny bit wider, feet flat on the floor, lower back flat on the floor, back of the pelvis flat on the floor, shoulder blades reaching down to the ground, sliding away from the ears, back of the neck long, and the head supported enough so that chin is not higher than the forehead. Forehead can be higher than the chin, but not the other way around. Breathing in, take both arms up into the air, and long exhale, soften and release the arms overhead, and open the upper chest. Breathing in, bringing the arms back up to vertical. Long exhale, release the arms down. Once more, just reconnecting with breath and movement, and with that sense of softness and release in the shoulders after the weight bearing work. And next time you exhale and the arms come back down, bring the knees in, hug the knees in, take a little rock from side to side. Feel free to roll the head the opposite way to the knees. Just check in with how you feel. And then we're going to come into the twists that I promised you at the beginning of the class. So we're going to build these up one by one, just do several of them. None of them are going to be really strong. Whenever you work into a twist from lying down in semi-supine, you've taken the spine out of gravity, there's no compression on your discs. So you've really made a lot of change already to protect the spine. That means we can really focus on flexibility and focus on enjoying this sense of, it's like wringing out a dishcloth, that sense of wringing out and squeezing and massaging of the abdominal area as you do your twists. And this is where the reputation for twists as a kind of detox and release of deep-seated emotions through the enteric nervous system, that's where it got its reputation for. If you just had a big meal, you won't want to do the stronger twist, so just keep an eye on how comfortable you are as you work. So feet are hip width apart, arms, it's extending out at shoulder height, palms facing up, no higher than shoulders. Don't let the arms raise the shoulders up towards the ears. And just start really simply exhaling, knees releasing to the right, head rolling to the left. Inhale back to center. Long exhale, knees to the left, head to the right. Inhale to center. Work with your breath. Use the length of that exhale and your ujjayi breath, if you're using ujjayi, to really extend into the twist with your breath. So around about now, the knees will be going left. That'll be the last one of this first version of the twist. We're going to come back to center, and between each version, we'll just hug the knees in, rock from side to side, release the spine. And now we're going to place the feet down, but the feet and the ankles and the thighs and the knees are all coming in a close, compact position. And you're going to actively squeeze inwards. So you're activating the inner thighs. This will help to activate the core as well, help to maintain the length through the spine. If it helps, imagine that instead of two legs, you've got one leg now, one leg and one giant foot. Breathing in, and you can, like we did at the beginning of the class, breathe that breath up the length of the spine, feel the length of the spine, and then breathing out, take the knees to the right. So if you keep the thighs and the feet together, the whole of that big foot will lift off the mat. You'll pivot on the outer edge. Inhaling back to center. Exhale. Knees go left. Head turns right. Just work with this one at your own pace. This is a particularly effective twist. I begin to notice two things. One is that you're able to turn the head in the opposite direction to the shoulders. So when twisting the spine can twist in two directions at the same time. And it actually likes to do that to become more mobile. But see if you can also notice that the lower back doesn't really twist, so that as you take the legs over, the hips turn with it, the lower back turns, and your main twisting movement in the spine is up here through the thoracic spine, the whole part of your spine where the ribs are attached, the whole section from the top of the lower back to the base of the neck. That is our target area to twist. And then the next time the knees go to the left, make that the last one. Inhale, come back to center, draw the knees in. Take a little rock from side to side. And then we're going to do one last twist. It starts the same way as the previous one, so the legs are glued together. This time we're going to hold the twist. So on your next long exhale, take the knees out to the side, over to the right. And what you're going to do now is just actively squeeze the thighs together in this position. That's going to draw the hip round a little bit further. At the same time, feel the left shoulder blade. Perhaps it feels light, perhaps it's trying to lift off the mat. You're just going to press that left shoulder blade down towards the floor. If it's already off the floor, then you're definitely in your maximum twist. If it's easily on the floor, if this outer right thigh is resting on the mat, if you've still got more twist in you, then you can, if you want to, just extend this upper leg, the left leg. Push the heel away, pull the toes back, and the weight of that longer lever will draw the hips around another fraction, another millimeter or two, and just give you that additional little bit of twist. The head would turn the opposite way. I'm just turning this way to keep my voice towards the camera. So to release from this, we're going to bend that left leg if you straightened it, and then inhale, coming back to center, and exhale, taking the knees over to the left, doing exactly the same thing. Just take a few moments in this static held version of the twist to squeeze the thighs together, to connect with this right shoulder, draw it back and down, to keep the chin tucked in, back of the neck long, enjoy the twist in the neck. And only if everything is connected to the earth, the outside of the left leg, the right shoulder, feel free to extend that right leg if you want to. And then simply use your breath, particularly the long exhale, to soften and release that a little bit more into the twisting pose. Very good. And then breathing in, bringing the head and knees to center, drawing the knees in and taking a little rock from side to side. Lovely. So just two more practices on the mat. We're going to use the belt now to take the belt around the right foot, to wrap the belt around the hands, and to let the belt draw the knee in towards the chest. Here's our inhale position. And again, sole of the left foot flat on the mat, back of the pelvis, lower back, everything connecting and flat to the ground for safety. Long exhale, moving into the stretch. Breathing in, bending the knee, coming out of the stretch 5 times. Exhale. Inhale. Long exhale, noticing what you feel in the back of that right thigh. Do you feel softness? Do you feel resistance? Does it feel like something there is held and stuck? And if it does, rather than fighting it, see if you can soften that area. Let this detox be a really natural process of surrender and release rather than anything forced. And then round about now, you'll be getting to the 5th exhale. And this time we're going to hold the stretch for a few breaths. just in a sustainable position. Doesn't matter where your leg is, just find that stretch that is manageable, that doesn't interrupt your breath, that doesn't make the leg shake. The back of the leg is lengthening, and during the long exhale, you can feel just a little bit of softness and release coming into that muscle. And then breathing in, let the right knee bend, let the left foot come up and in and take over the belt. Just working at your own pace now on the left leg. Inhale, bend the knee. Exhale, extend into space. Detox for the hamstrings. And at the end of the next exhale, coming into holding the stretch. And if you really feel like this belt is helping to anchor the left thigh deep into the hip socket, it can give you a sense of connection to the earth that enables you to then stretch up to that heel and find just a little bit more space in a way that is more comforting and easy on the back of the left thigh. And then breathing in, bending the knee. Just keep the belt with you for a second. Release the foot down and then draw their knees in. Take a little rock from side to side. And then taking the feet down, sliding anything out from under the back of the head. We're going to do the version of Dvipadapitham we did last week. So if you bring the knees in and just place the belt across the front of the shins there, place the feet down, wrap the belt around the hands so the arms are long and straight, shoulders back and down, chin tucked in, head looking up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, slightly rock the pelvis and flatten the back against the floor. Inhale, release. Exhale, flatten the back against the floor. And at the end of this exhale, just try to keep a sense of the lower back remaining flat against the floor. And now you're ready to breathe in and just hover the pelvis a few inches above the mat. Exhale, roll the pelvis down. Inhale, slightly higher, a little bit of the lower back coming up this time. Exhale, roll down. Take 3 or 4 or 5 more breaths. Just coming up a little bit higher with each inhale, rolling a little bit more of the spine down on your exhale. So in terms of energy and the energy body in the yoga tradition, the energy centers located in the subtle body along the area that approximates the physical spine. The theory is that sometimes different energy flows can be blocked. So this kind of practice, back bends, we would say would be really working on the energy center of the heart. Also, it's stretching out the abdomen, so working secondarily on the Manipura chakra, navel energy center. Subtle energy is something, if you're not familiar with, just something to investigate, and it doesn't have to be treated as scientific fact. It can be treated as a imagery, helpful imagery for self-improvement, self-discovery. It's the poetic language of yoga.
So probably around about now you're reaching your maximum lift. If you're still working, and if you're still working, you want to just hold one of these poses. Just hold the last one. Really press through the balls of the feet, slightly internally rotate the thighs. Feel the glutes connecting. And as you breathe in and out, don't let the tummy move at all. Just feel that that whole breath is expanding and creating space in the upper back and the chest. If you're still holding this pose, one more deep inhale, and then a long, slow exhale to roll the spine down and draw the knees in over the chest and rock from side to side. Then we're going to roll over and we're going to come up to standing. And we're going to stand with the feet hip width apart or slightly wider. Give the shoulders a little lift and roll. Then we're going to do our usual transition from the mat. So we're going to roll the shoulders back, take the palms outwards, still inhaling, sweeping the arms up. And exhaling, long exhale. Draw the palms down, past the heart, and then release, ready for the next in-breath. This is an opportunity to assert the primacy of the breath in your practice. So there's absolutely no hurry, just work with your own breath. And let both your inhale and your exhale express their fullness. And then, as we often do, just allowing the toes to raise up off the mat as the arms come up, and the toes to soften and release down during your long exhale. Slightly moving the weight forwards, hovering the heels as the arms come up. And exhale, releasing the heels down. If you feel at all unsteady, just turn the chair around, have the back of the chair next to you. We're going to do that in a moment when we do tree pose anyway. So a couple more with the heels coming up, so that we're now really preparing the feet and the body for our balance pose. And then release the arms down. So we're going to start with a very easy version of tree. You may wish to use the back of the chair just to get yourself going, or position yourself near a wall. So we're going to soften the right knee and lift the right heel, so that we're shifting the weight into the standing leg, and then really feeling that the whole of the sole of the left foot is gripping down to the earth. Visualize the sole of the foot extending down into the earth with its own little root system there. And then with this knee bent, opening the hip so the knee is pointing out, and just making use of that lovely hip opening we did earlier. And then the hand is coming here in prayer position, and if you can, let the other hand join. So the toes of this foot are very, very light. Most of the work's being done by the standing leg. Easing ourselves into the balance. And at the end of the next exhale, turn that left leg in. Straighten the leg, release the hands, give the legs a little shake. So we often do one breath balances. Tonight we're having a go at some held balances, which are a little trickier. So again, the chair or the wall will be your insurance if you need it. One other trick you can do, apart from feeling the activation of the feet and drawing up through the center of the body, is also just to have a looking place for your balance. So when you're in the balance, just find a mark on the floor, maybe 6 to 8 feet in front of you, and have a soft gaze held there, and that will help to maintain balance. So shifting the weight into the right leg now, opening the hip very lightly on the toes of the left foot, palms together or holding the chair, and breathe. And at the end of the next exhale, release and shake the legs out. The balancing poses in yoga, and tree in particular, very good at activating a lot of the stuff we've worked on through tonight's class, especially this idea of lengthening up through the spine. You will naturally feel when you put yourself out of balance that a lot of the structures that support your posture are engaged to a greater degree. So you just feel like you're standing with a little bit taller and with a little bit more inner body support. So we're going to go into a fuller version of tree now. So let the right knee bend, turn the foot out. So if you just want to do the easiest version, full version, no support from the foot on the floor, you can do the first version again, or the sole of the foot on the inside of the shin, or the sole of the foot all the way up and against the thigh. And if you put it up here, you're going to need to squeeze the thigh and the foot together. Palms can remain in prayer position, or you can extend the arms out and breathe. And at the end of the next exhale, lifting the foot, releasing the knee forward, extending the leg and down. Give the legs a little shake. Release the shoulders. Last one, softening the left knee, opening the hip, finding your foot position, and taking whichever version of the pose suits you. And then releasing. So we're going to come into our final pose before relaxation, which is our supported inversion that we do every week. So if you're really familiar with this, just feel free to come into it. We're resting the legs on the chair. We've got a yoga block under the hips, and we have support for the head as well. So find yourself in this position. If it's comfortable for you, allow the eyes to close and just take a few breaths here, allowing this very mild inversion and reversal of gravity to have its effect. Very relaxing, very supportive for the return of blood back to the heart from the lower extremities of the body. And it kind of fits into detox in the way in which, if we're always upright, there's always the same kind of compression on internal organs, and this just changes the dynamic of the relationship of the organs and the soft tissues within the body to each other. And then don't forget, you could spend a little bit longer here before going into relaxation if you want to. This is a really nice inversion to do in your own practice at home and spend as long as you like here. But we're going to move on and come into relaxation now. So we're going to just take any comfortable position, whether that's legs straight or knees bent or lying on your side or anything else. And in this relaxation, we're going to just think about using the long exhale to soften the body as we tense and release different parts of the body. I'm going to come back into my chair, but you're staying in your relaxation position. So be aware of the whole of your body and be aware of how your body feels. And then bring your awareness to the right foot. And as you breathe in, you're going to pull the toes of the right foot back. And as you breathe out, you're going to point the right foot away, scrunch the toes under. Breathing in, pull the toes of the right foot back. And then long exhale, soften and release the right foot. Let's do that with the whole of the right leg now. As you inhale, engage all the muscles of the leg, make it strong and long. If you want to, you can lift the leg slightly off the mat. You don't have to do that. And then as you exhale, a long exhale, really let that right leg soften and release, releasing anything you need to release in the right leg. And once more with the right leg, inhale. Tense, long exhale, release. And take a moment to notice how the right leg feels. Awareness to the left foot, breathing in, pull the toes back, push the heel away. Breathing out, point the foot, squeeze the toes. Breathing in, pull the toes back, and long exhale, relax the left foot. Awareness to the whole of the left leg. Inhale, tense the whole of the left leg. Lift it if you want to, or just tense the thighs, the hamstrings, the calf muscles. Tense the whole of the left leg, and long exhale, soften and release. Once more with the left leg. Inhale, tense. Exhale, release. Awareness to the right hand. Inhale, open the palms, stretch the fingers. Exhale, make a soft fist. Inhale, extend. Feel the stretch radiating out from the center of the palm. And exhale, soften the hands so the fingers curl inwards slightly. You're going to stretch the whole of the right arm now, but before you do that, just wriggle the right shoulder back and down. And then on your next inhale, with the palm facing upwards, stretch through the whole of the right arm. Feel as if that stretch is drawing the shoulder down a little bit further. Lift the arm if you want to off the mat. And exhale, long exhale, soften and release. Right arm once more. Inhale, extend and tense. Exhale, soften and release. And notice how your right arm feels. Awareness to the left hand, breathing in, extend the fingers and thumb, open the palm. Exhale, make a soft fist. Inhale, extend, fingers and thumb. Long exhale, soften the palm. Awareness to the whole of the left arm, wriggle the shoulder back and down. Inhale, tense and stretch, lift the arm if you wish. Exhale, release. Once more, inhale, tense the whole of the left arm. Long exhale, soften, release. Notice how your left arm feels. Notice how your legs and arms feel. Allow them to feel softness and release. Now we bring our attention to the midline of the body, beginning with the pelvis. As you breathe in, squeeze, tighten and engage all the muscles around the back of the pelvis, the glutes, the pelvic floor. Just feel as you gather those muscles that the pelvis lifts slightly, and long exhale, soften, release. Once more, inhale, squeeze the muscles around the pelvis. Long exhale, soften, release. Awareness to the abdomen. If you need to work softly here, just work very softly. As you breathe in, allow the abdomen to be very, very soft. And as you breathe out, just finish the exhale by drawing the tummy muscles in and feeling as if you are pressing down to the earth through the lower back, through the strength of your abdominal muscles. Breathing in, let everything soften. Belly rises. Exhale, draw the tummy in and back. And inhale, let the abdomen soften and leave the abdomen to be now soft and released. Awareness to the upper back and chest. Just slightly exaggerating the inhale, filling the lungs to their comfortable maximum, feeling the ribs being stretched and lifted to their comfortable maximum. And exhale, long exhale, soften, release. Inhale into the rib cage, lift, widen, stretch, soften and release. Awareness to the neck. Just going to do something very subtle here. As you breathe in, feel as if the crown of the head is being drawn away from the shoulders, the neck is getting longer. And as you exhale, soften and release the neck into that space. Once more, inhale, lengthening through the crown of the head. Exhale, neck softens and releases. And awareness to the head, the back of the head, the crown of the head, the sides of the head, and the face. As you breathe in, engage all the muscles of the face. Just frown, squeeze the eyes a little bit, wriggle the jaw from side to side. And as you do a long exhale, soften every muscle in the face. Let the eyes rest back in the sockets. Let the jaw be relaxed. Let the tongue lie softly in the mouth. Be aware of the whole of your body. Allow the whole of your body to experience just a few more moments of complete softness and release. And this time, allowing your breath to be in its own natural rhythm. And now allow your breath to deepen, reconnect with your body, move the fingers, wriggle the toes, and stretch into your arms and legs in any way that feels good. When you're ready, bend the knees, roll onto your right side, and then gently make your way back up to sitting. You can sit on the chair or remain on the mat, maybe sitting cross-legged, but do support the spine so the spine is effortlessly upright. We're just going to close with a few more breaths of tonight's breathing practice, and you might like to rest with the hands palms up, or even bring the thumb and first finger together if you like to take a Hasta Mudra. Have the eyes closed or downcast, and tune in one last time to that easy, full inhale and that long, effortless exhale. Breathing in up to the crown of the head from the pelvis, breathing out all the way down to the pelvis, through the legs, to the feet, to the ground. Feel lightness and length on your inhale. Feel softness and release on your exhale. I feel as if this last few breaths of long exhale is your final sweep through the body of detoxing, of releasing anything that is stuck in any of the realms of the body, mind, and use the breath as this tool to create balance and space and ease. And then at the end of the next exhale, just release the breathing practice. Take a final moment to notice how you're feeling. And then when you're ready, blinking open the eyes. Thanks very much for joining me for class this week.